Okay, I'll make a start. So thank you for joining me for webinar number 24 in the English series. Today we're looking at COPA RF 2015 and the new Smart Tools functionality. My name's Carl Stevenson and I head up Data M UK and I look after sales support and service for the UK and North America. So, for those of you who have already switched to COPA RF 2015, you will have seen the new SmartRolls panel and toolbar located on the Roles menu. And from this icon, we can create SmartRolls, edit SmartRolls, copy and move them. So I'm just going to talk about some of the advantages of SmartRolls. First of all, there's now a dynamic creation and editing of a role, giving easy adjustment of gaps, radii and angles. And within the command, it's easy to undo and redo functionality. We have the possibility to change role geometry in a table, and we can copy a role with a defined reference point, and we can automatically adjust the axes with a copy and move. So here you can see the example of the Smart Role dialog box, and it's here where we can control the behavior of the Smart Role functionality. In the top part here you can see we have the possibility to display the information such as the diameter and the widths, etc., and the decimal places, how many decimal places we need this information to. We can display virtual role intersections and virtual profile intersections. I'll show you a little bit more of that later on. We can define our outside radius here, so our non-forming radius. So we can define this with our Smart Role. We may decide to take a 0, for example, or more. The grid value for definition, this is where we're going to snap to for our width, our diameter, radius, distances and angles. And then we can define what will happen when we press down the control key whilst using these commands, and also the reference points with control and shift. And at the bottom here you can see we can use a table then to define some geometry, radii, and the two arrows above the end button are the undo and redo. So when we create a role using SmartRolls, you may have seen that any linear element or any entity is divided into 5 segments. So you can see here on this top example, when the cursor is in this area, we're talking about the radius on the left hand side of the part. And then you can see in the next level here, we're talking about the end point over here on the left. So if we want to add any rotation to the left hand side, if we want to make an adjustment to the element, you can see here we then pick in the middle. And of course we have then the radius right and the end point right as well. So I'm just going to give you a demonstration on some of the basic functionality with SmartRolls. So I'll just get my screen ready. Okay, so I have a simple C-section here, and now I'm going to create some geometry using the create role functionality from SmartRolls. So you can see there's no roles in the database. Oh, there is one actually. I'll just delete that. Okay. So switching to the roles menu now, I'm going here to create role. And I should point out this is a symmetrical profile. And right now, Smart Role functionality can only work on the pure side, not the ghost side of a symmetrical profile. So I'm going to be working here on the left hand side. And of course, if we're simulating a symmetrical geometry like this, our role tooling will need to be on the right hand side. So we can use tools such as convert database and the mirror function to move all these roles over onto the right hand side, or we can do that while we're designing. So you'll see in the command line here I'm being asked to select my start element, so this will be this one here. And now I have to define the projection. Will it be a top or bottom roll? Of course, if there's side rolls, we would sweep out to the side roll. I'm going to sweep down now to the bottom. And now I'm asked, where would I like the roll up to? Now you can see it won't allow me to go past the mirror line anyway. So I'm going to select to this element. Now you can see my dialog box is loaded, so I'm going to default outside radius. I'm going to make those 0, and that's it for now. And on the right hand side you can see I can do an extend, orthogonal, normal or none. None is in brackets. My settings allow me to right click or press the enter key. So I'm right clicking now, and that brings me over to the left hand side. So here I want to extend, so I'm typing E for extend and again right clicking. Now by moving my mouse you can see across the bottom the diameter and also the width here. So what I'm going to do now is by holding down the control key, you can see now I'm given the diameter I'm dragging out to. Okay, so say for example I wanted to make this 100, I now left mouse pick. If I move the marker down here to the underside, you can see I'm referencing the start of the axes as well, so I can use either or. I want to use the diameter, so I'm going on the top here, so I'm going to go for a 100 radius, so that will be 200 diameter, as you can see. And this, as I said, is all visible because the info tick box is there. So now I go to left mouse pick, so there's my 100, and now I want to draw the diameter of my flange. So here I should now type O for orthogonal and enter. And again I've got freehand here. If I hold down the control you can see now, because my parallel to axis grid is 5mm increments, I'm moving in that. So I'm going to pick this point here. So I'm asked if I want to add any additional points. I can do if I wanted to add some gates, for example here, but I'm just going to do a plain bottom roll right now. So I'm going to right click because I don't want to add any additional points. So right click for none, and then you can see the roll. Now if I just go into edit the roll, we can see here the 5 markers I was talking about earlier. So here I'm going to add a radius to the end, and this is one tool I really like. So I pick this area, left mouse click, and you can see now by dragging the cursor the radius is shown dynamically. However, if I hold down Control and Shift, you can see my radius now is moving by the definition there in the grid values in 1mm increments. So that's Control and Shift to make that happen. So when I'm happy with the R2, I'm going to now pick that point, and now I'll move over to this side. I'm going to pick this one again, and of course you can right click now, and if you wanted to you can type in the radius as well to give you that radius. So you can drag or you can type it in, and we'll see now that the radius here is 0 because I made sure the default outside radius is 0, and now I'm happy. I can right click and exit that. So now to creating the top roll, same principle, create roll again, pick the first element here and project in this direction and across to the middle. Okay, so I don't need to add anything here, so I'm just going to right click to give me the none, or press enter. And on this side, of course, now I need to extend. So E for extend. And rather than now select anything with control, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so the diameters meet. So if I type in end and then pick this position, you can see now I'm now parallel with that. Again, take the O for ortho, and again type end, and then pick this endpoint, and you can see my rolls meet. Okay, so now I'm just going to right click to show you that the roll. Now here, I'll add the radius first, just so you can see some of the possibilities. So here, I'll zoom in a little bit more. Pick the radius, hold down Control and Shift, and there's the 2mm radius. My flanges are still meeting, so now I'm going to change it. You see my material thickness is 1.5, so I'm going to make the setting gap here 1.5. So I'm defining my distance. I'm going to pick this position here in the middle, the circle, and you can see now I can move it by freehand. Hold down the Control key, it's moving in 1.5mm. However, if I hold down the Control and Windows key, you'll see now the profile is snapping to itself in 1.5mm increments. So for my material gap, I'm going to choose this one. Okay, and then over here, I'm just going to show you some of the possibilities on this entity. So I can select this entity here. If you wanted to make a relief in this direction, we can do, again, by holding down Control or Control and Windows, you can see the distance offsetting itself. So I'm just going to press the Escape key. If I go here to this position, I can pick here, sorry, wrong place, this position here between these two markers, and now I'm given the possibility to rotate. So I'm just going to right click here now to take me into the rotate command. You can see I can again freehand rotation here. And again, if I hold down the Control key, now snaps to 1 degree increments. So I'll select this one and I'm happy now, so I can exit. One thing I should point out, of course, the radius transition remains here, so perfect for FEA. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the move and copy commands now. So I'm happy with the roll. I'm just going to save the station. You can see now, save the project, the red disc will turn blue. I'm going to copy a roll. So first of all, now I'm going to copy here the bottom roll, and you can see the virtual roll intersections and virtual profile intersections are ticked. So we can see these little triangles here. That's the virtual profile intersections, and you'll see the same on the roll in a second. So I have two possibilities now. You can see over here, I didn't want to do that, but we can mirror the roll by typing the M command and enter. But it's upside down for some reason now. Let's just try that again. So I'm going to copy the roll. There we go. And now type M for mirror. And now we can define the reference. Of course, we can just use this one. Oops, excuse me. We can use this one and pick the endpoint or type end. I'm going to just change reference just so you can understand the principle of that. Right click reference, and now I can pick it here. And where would I like it to go to? Well, I can't snap to that now, so I just type end and pick this point, and then you'll see the roll is referenced to there and they align. So I'll just do that again so you can see the principle one more time. So we're going to copy the roll, this one, M for mirror now, right click, and now you can see I can just go in here, type end, and then pick the endpoint here and does the same. If we wanted to now, we could of course join these rolls and so on. We can of course use move. Maybe there's a possibility you want to move the roll. So if we identify the roll here, we're going to use move roll to axes, or we can create axes at position. So if you imagine we were moving to a side roll, for example, or to the bottom, and there are no rolls there, the axes will move to the roll to make sure it's touching the profile. So some of the possibilities to very easily manipulate the axes here. Same with copy. I'll just go back and show you that in a second. So if we just want to move the roll for now, and here is the position, and then if we want to move it to say here, we can do. Yeah, of course, if we made a mistake, we just undo. So just to discuss the copy again, you can see some of the copy possibilities. We can change the diameter of the roll to suit the axes. So if we bring a smaller spacer, for example, in it may be a combi set from the bottom to the top, and the diameter is different, the diameter will change. We can create an axis, the position, so the position of the axis will move to that smaller roll if it's smaller, and as you've seen, we can move roll to an axis. So that's a little bit of a taste of creating rolls. I'm just going to look at now editing some rolls in, say, an existing design, some further possibilities here. Again, well, I think there's some real time-saving functionality where we would normally, I guess under normal circumstances, have to do a lot more construction with AutoCAD or with Copra first. So I'm just going to switch projects. So first of all here, let's imagine we wanted to change this diameter here. Now it's a clone roll, we can see that because my lines are thicker here. So I'll just switch out to the rolls module, and now I'm going to edit roll. Going to go into this roll here, and let's imagine we want to change this lead in here. So we can just do that now. So formally we'd have to construct this, okay? So again, my distance is defined to 1.5. So if I do the Control and Windows key, you can see now I'm snapping in 1.5mm increments here. And right click and it's done. And of course now, because it's a clone roll, the same has happened to the roll over on the other side as well. So I think normally this would take a lot more time to construct. Let's find another example. Let's go back a few stations. I did that one this morning. Let's try this one. It's not a clone roll. So let's imagine in our simulation we've seen that there are some high forces here as the material exits this roll. So what can we do? Well, we want to keep this position, but we want to add some relief. So I'm going to go in here, pick the roll. So I'm editing the roll, pick within the roll itself. And now, okay, so I'm going to move it across a little bit first. So I'll pick the point, and you can see freehand, I can move it now. Hold down the control key and it's moving in 5mm increments, or we do the Control and Windows. I'll just take the 1.5 for now. And in that rotation, I'm going to pick in this position here and right click now, and then you can see my rotation here, and then hold down the control key, and I've got 0.5, so let's take 6 from there, and then right click. So you can see normally I'd have to draw lines, polylines, or modify entities to achieve that, and then reconstruct some radius on there. With the SmartRoll functionality, that's just done that in a few seconds. So again, saving lots of time in doing that. I'm just looking for another example here we discussed. I think if we just talk about the table now. So with regard to the table, I'll just mention as well, SmartRolls doesn't get on too well with chamfers right now, so it's better if there's a radii at the end here. So I'm just going to edit the roll again. So I'm going in, and this time I'll go to the table. So now we can see the all of the geometry of the roll. It's like a Cartesian plot. So the the width, the diameter, and so on. So here, let's imagine we wanted to change the radii. So you can see at position 3, I've got a 2. Maybe I want to make this an 8. So we can update that. Now between 4 and 5, there's not one, so we can add one there. Let's make that now because there's some relief around the strip. 2's not big enough really, so we could say a 5. Want a sharp corner where the strip meets, but number 7, let's say number 7 we have a 5. We can make this an 8. Oh, it's too big. So I've got 80, not 8. 8, enter, and there we go. So you can see I can work my way around the profile, and of course I think number 1 there. Maybe this is a little bit too big over on this side here. So I'm just going to make that a 1, enter. Okay. And of course, if I want to undo that now, I just go back and I can undo and redo. If I'm happy then, I can just click end. And now the roll is updated. So that's using the table to modify the roll as well. So just to keep things brief today, I'm sure we're going to be discussing SmartRolls and some of the advanced features, but this is the sort of the basics. I'm sure you're going to have fun with that. So at this stage, I would like to ask if anyone has any questions at all. That leads me to say thank you very much for your attention, everyone. I hope it's been informative and useful. As usual, you'll receive a download link for the webinar video, and it will also be displayed on our website. Thank you very much. That was Copa RF 2015 SmartRolls. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.